Hi guys, welcome back to my channel, Techvangelists. This is Jerry. In the last video, we talked about the ADK kit, Google's ADK kit for building agents. If you have not seen that video, there will be a link in the description of that video in this video where you can check it out, because that forms a foundation to what you're about to learn right now. If you are new to the channel, a subscribe will be fantastic at this point. And make sure that you stay through to the end of this video, because there's a surprise waiting for you. I'm going to show you something fantastic. Today, what we want to talk about is how different agents can communicate with each other using the A2A protocol. The A2A protocol from Google, in my opinion, I think is fantastic. Obviously, it's not the only agent-to-agent protocol out there, but it's good to have standards, and I think Google is setting the pace for what the industry would eventually be leveraging on in the future. So let's talk about A2A protocol. Now, see A2A protocol as just a standard. There's really not much about the code. It doesn't involve any special code to write or whatever. Just think about it like your REST API, which is a standard. Think about it like your HTTP request, which is a standard, just protocols. So it means that you can write your agent with any framework of your choice. There's Crew AI type of agent. There is, I think also Microsoft has the way they write their own agents. And there's also, of course, the ADK agent from Google. There is Swarm agents from OpenAI, and various companies have the way they write agent. Now, what is an agent? Agent is pretty simple. Just look at agent as an object that's got a model, a large language model, some instructions, system instructions, and tools. So again, an agent is just an object that has got a large language model, some set of instructions, and tools. Now, tools in this case are just functions that your model can leverage on to perform some certain things. Functions, basically. In an ADK agent, you will find exactly the same thing. Again, if you are confused about this, go back to the video that I posted before. Go back to that video and check how I built the ADK agent. Very simple. So today, this is exactly what we want to do. I'm going to take you through this entire process where we have an host agent. The host agent is with ADK, and this host agent will talk to an order management agent and a product management agent. The product management agent was built with ADK. The order management agent was built with LangGraph. So this goes to show that it doesn't matter the framework that you use to build your agent. Once you follow the standard, the A2A protocol standard, you should be able to communicate. If this agent follows the protocol and this agent also follows the protocol, then this should be able to talk to them. Now, let's see a demo of that. I can say, hi there. What agents are you connected to? Bear in mind that I'm using a local model. I'm not using any of the closed model from OpenAI, from Google, from Anthropic. I'm using a local model via Ollama, and so it might be a little bit slow. You might have to wait a little bit, but I will show you that eventually, when you look at what this agent is doing, it's doing a fantastic job for its size. So it says that I'm connected to two agents, the product agent and the order management agent, which is exactly what you see from this graph, from this image. So the product agent provides the product details like specs, stocks, and reviews, and the order management handles order status, tracking returns, and modifications. This agent is the one responding. We are talking to the host agent right now. So the host agent knows that it's connected to other agents, and it has this tool like get user info. So imagine that you're running a business, you're running an e-commerce business, and you've got this agent that has this tool to get user information. So I say, can you give me the user details of the user with email alice@example.com. So for this tool to work, it needs to take in an email address, and as you can see, it's calling that tool get user info tool. It will use that tool to get the user information from the email address that I've provided, and hopefully we should get to see the result. And yes, we do. So this is the user profile of this particular user. It's got some support tickets, some orders. I'll show you where this data is coming from. It's a static data right now. I'm not calling any database. It's just hard-coded stuff. But this is just to show you the power of A2A protocol. This video is really about the A2A protocol communication. So have that in mind. Now let's show the power of the product itself. So I know that there's a product with the product name P009. We have like 10 products in the local database, which is just on the system here. Again, there's no database. All this data is just hard coded. So I can say, tell me about the product P005, for example, because I have 10 products in this place and I've labeled them P001 to P010. So now it's calling the agent. It knows that it should call the agent. Now it's not using its own tool. It's calling another agent, which should be the product agent. And I'll show you all this very soon. But let's just look at what the response is. It takes in the product ID, and that's the product ID right there. It will get the product details and come back hopefully with a result that shows the product details. It's taking a bit of time. Of course, like I told you, it's a local model. And yes, it does. Here's the detailed information about the product. So it's got the product name correctly, the description, the price, the specs, and the other things. So that's that. How about our order status? I say, how about I don't want capital letter. How about my order? Let me see if I can still remember let's go to the dummy data and go to the order. There's an order 200. So let's try to find that. How about my order this? What is the status of that? So hopefully it will then call the agent, the order agent, but we'll see. But we expect it to call the agent, the order agent. Yes, it does. And this time around, it should get us the order. It should get us the order status of the particular order ID that you have specified in the chart. And if everything goes well, we should see the order very soon, which should be this one with the customer Charles, blah blah blah, and order date. We see the status is pending. So we expect to see the status, which is pending, and yes, we see it. The status of your order is pending. Here are the details. So it does that beautifully. Now, having just demoed everything that works, now let's see what happened. Here, the ADK kit as a client, this is the agent client, can help us to see what happened when we initiated that request. It's a very good tool to see what happens behind the scenes. So when we said what agents are you connected to, it knows the agent. I will show you how it knows the agent. And this one that calls the tool calls this particular tool with the email address. So it needs to supply arguments. It picks the email address from the chat and calls the get user info tool. So that's the function call. And what you get with all the system instructions, you are the host agent. I will show you all this. The customer experience your orchestrator, your role is to understand the customer's request, and I've given it a bunch of examples So here is the user profile. So it returns that. So this is just a bit of what you will get from the ADK in terms of the front end side to view what the agents are actually doing. Now let's see what happens in the code. First of all, to understand this, I will take you through a simple example of the A2A protocol. Now the A2A protocol is very simple, and if you look through the documentation for that, I can open a new terminal here and let's cd into that. I will activate these are all standard Python stuff. I'll just activate the environment there, and then we can proceed. Now the environment is activated, and before I run anything, I'm going to explain what is going on here. So here is a simple A2A protocol that every agent must follow. First, you have the skill, and it comes from the skill agent skill class from the A2A types. So it's just an interface that helps you define the ID, the name, the description, the tags, the examples. And these are really important because when other people create their agents, irrespective of the framework that they use, and they want to communicate with your agent also on the A2A protocol, they need to see all these things. So you will see that in a bit, that all the skills that the agent has needs to be displayed to the other agent, and that would help the model, the LLM that you put in, to know which of the agents to call for a particular task. So this is an agent card. An agent card takes in the skill, which is a list here. So you could have multiple skills. In this case, this is just the to greet. So the skill here is just to greet and say return a greeting and yes, and all that. The capabilities, you can have a lot of capabilities. If you look at this class from agent capabilities on the A2A documentation, you would see that there's a lot of things that you can do with agent capabilities. One of them is, I think, streaming, if I'm not wrong, or push notification, something like this. I'm not very sure now of what this agent capabilities until I check the documentation, but there's a lot of things that, for example, your agent can do. So the most important thing here is the agent card. The agent card is the one that displays the name, the descriptions, the URL in which these other agents can talk to your agent, for example. And then the A2A protocol has made it so easy that you only just pass the agent executor as this class and some task store, and after that you set the A2A startlet application, which is to pass the request handler and the agent card that you've created, and that's it. And then start your server. So let's look at this agent executor. This is just another file in this same folder called agent executor, and it's just in this case our greeting agent executor takes in the agent, which is from the greeting agent class, and instantiates that. So we get the agent. It means that now we can call self.agent.invoke, which is the method under this class. So every agent that implements the A2A protocol must implement these two methods, the execute and the cancel. These are very basic stuff. You have some other methods, but these two are compulsory to implement. So the execute and the cancel. So in this case, in our simple example, we are just invoking that agent, this one. So we call this invoke method. We expect to get the hello YouTube. Make sure to like and subscribe. And we do the same for cancel. We just raise an exception because we are not canceling anything right now. And then we can update the event queue to say that the message has been sent, new message entered, and That is that. So what we can do right now is to run this example. Now this is the agent itself. This is the agent server. We will run this main agent, and then we will run the test client. So now there has to be a test client that talks to that agent. Remember that the agent runs on the port 9999. I can show you that again here. It runs on the port 9999. So there has to be this base URL talking to that agent. Now this is the client. Every A2A protocol would then assume that there is a well-known agent.json link that shows the agent card and all the capabilities and possibilities of what that agent can do. So here we are just making a call to this link, and we append this particular path to it like so. So base URL there and the public agent card URL, which is this one. If we put two of them together, we should get the agent card. So this resolver, also from the A2A, as you see, A2A resolver card, it will help us to resolve that card in a nice JSON format and give you essentially what that agent can do. So then we create an A2A client. We run this client, A2A card. We pass the client and the card, and we know now that the A2A client is initialized. And so if we send any message, so this would generally be your prompt, and it follows this pattern: the role, the message ID, and the path. So the path is like a part of text or image or whatever. In this case, it's text. So we say hello. This is hard coded anyway. You will normally pass this as your user input, and then we send the request. So we also have this helper class from the A2A message send params, and we pass in the message payload from here. And if all that is successful, we send this message. So client.send message. Remember that the client is from the A2A client, so it's got this inbuilt method called send message, and we pass the request. If that is done, we expect to see that message that says from the agent executor invoke, hello YouTube, make sure to like and subscribe. So let's try to see what that does right now. I would run UV and run main.py. Okay, so the server is running right now on 9999, and now let's one more terminal. Before this happens, this is going to be very fast because it doesn't call any model yet. This is just simply to understand the A2A protocol. It's hard coded. You need to see that this execute function will be called automatically because this is what the A2A protocol expects. So it's going to invoke this execute function. As long as you implement it, it will be called. And the implementation right now is that it calls this invoke, which you are going to see. And now we can run the UV test client thing again. Let's try that. And now see. So like I said, it's going to be very fast, but we can inspect exactly what happened. Now look at that. So first thing first, it fetched the agent card from the well-known agent.json, and we can see those capabilities. So those are the capabilities I was talking about. So extensions, push notifications, state transition history, streaming. So for all these capabilities, we actually set none in this case. So we didn't specify any capabilities. So you can see they are all null. And the default input mode in this case is text. The default output mode is text. We can also set that. Let me see if we actually did. Did we? Yes, we did that. So we set the default input modes and output mode to text. You can have some other modes. And description, you get all the icon URL. We didn't set that. Provider, security, and then skills. So skills comes as a list, And since we have only one skill, you get the skill with examples with the name, support authentication is null, and the URL, we get the version. And now we know that the A2A client is initialized. And now from the A2A client, we send a message to that agent via the A2A protocol. Since that is successful, what you should get is a response, and that response will contain results, and results will contain parts and paths. So every response comes with a message ID, which is auto-generated, a UUID. I think we implemented that somewhere. If we didn't, then it was auto-generated. Yes, so usually you would use a UUID to do that. It was auto-generated in this case since we didn't specify, and that's also coming from the A2A protocol, that every message has an ID, a JSON RPC, a message ID, and parts. And parts in this case, the kind is text, the metadata is null, and then text is hello YouTube, make sure to like and subscribe, which is exactly what we'll be getting back, for example, on the chat this way. So we need to also take that into consideration. And the role is agent. So the first time the role was user, and now the role is agent. So if, for example, we sent a message to this agent and we inspected what the role will be, that role will be user. And when the response comes back, then the role is agent. So that is all really about the A2A protocol. This is just a bare bone example for you to just see how a client can communicate with an agent using the A2A protocol. Now, having seen that, let's go back to our example, which is this one. We have the host agent, the order management agent, the product management agent. So I'm not going to spend so much time on this anymore. I'm just going to go straight to the most important parts of this. So now let's go to the one that uses the real LLM. So we start from the host agent. So as usual, host agent, we add a few libraries that we want to use. We are using the A2A SDK, the Google ADK, because like I said, the host agent is an ADK agent. So we need the light LLM to do that. If you still don't know what I'm talking about in all these things, please go back to that video that I talked about in the beginning. And we need to create this folder called host. Every ADK client and agent needs that. The reason is that when you scroll down here, you need to see that folder called host. And that's where you have, inside this host folder is where you have your file called agent. This is a must be structure for the ADK agent. Now this is particular to ADK agent. Don't get it confused. This is nothing about A2A protocol at all. This is just specific to ADK agents. You must have your folder. In that folder, you must have the init.py and the agent.py. I showed you a way to create all this. It's very easy. Again, go back to the other video. So now I'm going to walk through the agent. The agent is fairly simple. It's got a remote connection class. This remote connection class where we get the agent client and the card. So when that send message is invoked by the A2A protocol, we actually want to use that client to send the message. So we want to know which of the agents is actually sending the message. So this is how we set that up. And in the host agent, I'm going to also ask for cards, the different cards, agent cards now, of the various agents that we are connected to. So we have agents, and how we populate that is here. So agent, then we join the card name and the description to match. If not, we say no agent connected. The reason we're doing that is because in the instruction, I'm going to show you that very soon. In the instruction for this host agent, we say you are the host agent, the customer experience orchestrator. Your role is to understand the customer's request and do all these things, respond in a clear professional way, and then we tell it about the two calls. The tool you have is called call agent, and this call agent needs the agent's name and the task. Let's see that. the call agent tool, which is just a function, needs the agent name and the task as parameters. The tool context is just an ADK thing to update the state. Now let's go back again to that call agent. So we call the agent, we set the client from this remote connection to get the particular agent that we are about to call. So we need to know the agent that we are about to call. We set the state, the task ID. As you can see, the message ID here is just a generated UUID, and all this stuff is what the A2A protocol needs. Now this agent is an ADK agent, but we must put it in a structure that the A2A protocol wants. So we send the message like that. As you can see, the role is user, the paths is a type text, and the text is task. We set the message ID, the context ID, and the task ID. So if all that is done, we coming back to the root instruction, we always want to pass the connected agent. So this is how we tell the host agent which agent it is connected to. So this will then return us a list, as you would see from the top here when it was implemented. Self.agent is, then we pass all these things, the name and the description of that agent. So basically the model we are using here is the Cohen 3 1.7 billion parameter. So this is a very small model. However, the model is able to think properly and to give you the right answer. That's why this model is very good, even though it's very small. But the fact that it's a thinking model helps the process really, really well. So this is how we define an ADK agent. You already know this one. If you watch the video, you see it's an agent, ADK agent. We pass the model, instruction, and tools. So tools is called the agent. So it can either call an agent if it doesn't have the functionality to do what you ask, or it can use its own tool. So this is its own tool. And I showed you that in the first example when I asked for the user details, and it's called the get user info. So the get user info is this one. It's just getting the user info from our combined data, which is a dummy data that we have here on the CRM database. We have 2 users or 3. Yes, we do have 3 users, and each of those users have some details. And in this case, we call it Alice, and Alice got some support ticket and some orders, and that's why you have the result there, support ticket and some orders as well. So that's that for the agent. And as usual, we'll always have the init. This is an ADK thing. So first we init root agent, which this is ADK. ADK must have a root agent. So this is what ADK looks at first when it starts the client, which is this client, the host client that we specified. So it looks for this value called root agent, and we assign it to this init root agent. It takes in the URLs and it builds that, it creates each of the agents. So it takes the URLs, it will create, and if we look at this create, it's simply returning an instance of that. So eventually we create that agent. So each of the agents will be created this way. And that's all about it for the host agent. It's maybe got some capabilities to stream if we want to stream. I'll put a link to this code also in the description. You can also check it out and play with it and see all the things that we are doing here. Obviously, I cannot explain everything on this video. And now let's look at the other agent. Now this is LangGraph. So we don't expect to see the same process. All we expect to see is again the A2A agent server. In this case, it's running on 1002. The reason behind that is we've specified that here the order management agent runs on 1002, and the product agent runs on 1001. So here we see that we are in the order agent, it runs on 1002. We specify the skill, we specify the agent card, we specify the request handlers, and the rest is a breeze. Now, what is this agent executor? This is where the most important part is. Again, A2A protocol, you know what we're talking about. This is not new anymore. The execute function, and that's where you put all the parts for the Lang graph to work. And now we have some tools. I've specified tools here, and the tool is get the order status. It can get order status and it will return some, this is dummy data anyway. It would return the ordered status to us. Now, what is the agent doing? This agent has a system instruction. It's got the Lang graph, the reactive agent from Lang graph, and this is how you specify. Now, this is not ADK, so you can see that the structure is a little bit different in the agent file itself. And the Lang graph has the invoke method. You have to do that, invoke it, get the user response, agent response, and you are good to go. That is for the agent on Lang graph. Now, the third agent is very similar. You have the agent server from A2A. Again, the agent skill, the agent card, and then the runner, the agent executor, request handlers, and server. Exactly the same pattern. If you follow the A2A protocol, this is exactly what you should have as the server. Now, the agent itself is an ADK agent this time around. So we only need to convert some part of the ADK agent to A2A protocol. And that's exactly what we've done here. So if you look at the agent, it's pretty exactly the same with what you know. It's got the tool, get product info. It's got the check stock tool, the summarize tool, and you have exactly the same. Now, this time around, it's an LLM agent from ADK, not from LangGraph, not from A2A, but from ADK. So this is an ADK agent that we are doing, and we specify the agent, we give it some set of instructions and tools, and we create the agent exactly this way. So that is basically it. The agent executor, like I said, is just to process our request. It will perform the execute function and the cancel function. That's all. So that's all I wanted to show you. Again, I will not be able to explain everything in depth like you would understand it. It's taking me some time to get this to work in this way. It's very difficult first to understand how the A2A protocol works, because this is fairly new. So I've taken my time to make this code as simple as possible. And of course, I will leave the link to the repo in the description below. If you have any question, please drop them in the comment section and I'll be there to answer your questions. Maybe other people in the community can also do same. And until next time, until the next video, keep learning. I would encourage you also to hit the subscribe button, to hit the like button if this made sense to you, if this is exactly what you are looking for, so that I can make more videos, or if you have an idea or suggestion of what you want me to show, and then I can make more videos on that. Till next time, I see you guys later. Bye.